to the new daily episode. No, that's not true. Welcome to the new episode of... What's this one going to be talk about? I reckon we should talk about the prep of the 2020 CrossFit Games and dive into that little rabbit hole. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that is a bit of a talking point throughout these days.
Right. So I'll ask you a question and you answer it to the best of your knowledge.
Okay.
Are you nervous?
No.
Okay. So, tell me, Tia, how has the 2020 Games prep been in comparison to other years?
Well, Shane, I'm glad you asked.
You like that?
This is a great question. So 2020 has been absolutely... Can you like put a beep there? No, 2020 has definitely been a season full of unknown and unknowables. I really feel like CrossFit has lived up to its name without them even trying to make it out of this world different, would you say? But where we are right now is we're training for the CrossFit Games. Over the last couple of weeks, we found out that CrossFit are unable to bring out the 30 females and 30 males to California to do the actual CrossFit Games. So now they've taken it online for stage 1, and the athletes now that qualified for the CrossFit Games throughout the 2020 season will now be competing at their home gyms, and they will also be trying to qualify for the top male and top females so that they can be invited out to California.
Top 5 males, females, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You just said top. Yeah, you said that.
And didn't...
You just said top male and female. That'd be awkward.
Okay, so 5 top males and 5 top females be invited out to California in October. So that's where we're currently at. There is a lot of logistics to be made. I know that CrossFit are just scrambling to try and figure out like how they're going to do this. Rogue were quite successful in performing an online comp that was quite fair, and it has been announced that CrossFit it won't be a live event per se like Rogue, but which allows people and the athletes to be able to do it at reasonable hours. So people in Australia won't be doing it at 11 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. So that's a real huge benefit. Everyone will be competing in their local time from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever it may be. We still aren't sure of what that schedule looks like.
Yes, I think, like, you know, from what we've gathered, I think it's, firstly, we've got to commend CrossFit. They've made the event and they're trying to make it happen. I think that's probably the breath of fresh air, that we know that they're working towards that goal of having a 2020 season, which is fantastic. Ultimately, there's so many implications what have made it difficult for logistics of the athletes to train for the event, to forecast where they'll do it, scrounging around of like, what's the limitations, can we do it with other people? So some of those learnings have came out, so you can't do the competition with multiple athletes of the same sex, so to speak. So
Matt and I, we train every single day together. We're always in the same area, and so we won't be able to compete alongside each other. So whatever happens, whether, you know, event 1 gets announced and we have to do it within a particular time frame, Matt and I have to figure out between the two of us who's going to do it first and who's going to do it second. So yeah, I think that everyone has to abide by those rules.
Yeah, and I think they've also announced like an equipment list, but nothing out of the ordinary really there, hey?
Yeah, so they have announced a equipment list, which includes like a barbell with plates. They mentioned something about a run, so you know, you have to measure out, like, say for example 300 meters out and 300 meters back. They've had got a GHD, a jump rope, did I say rower?
No.
A rower, anyways, like a whole bunch of stuff. So they have provided that, and also we know that we can only perform the workout once.
Yep.
So 3, 2, 1, go, and it's a false start. Too bad, it's going to have to play out like it would at regionals or the games where we're in a live competition. and you just have to keep going and do the best that you can in that once-off trial or go. We don't know if the workouts are going to be announced before the competition or during, and we also don't know how many events they're going to be. I think it's a 2-day, well, it starts on the 18th, so Friday the 18th of September, and it potentially could be a 2 or 3 day competition as well.
Yeah, so there's still obviously a lot of unknowns. I know that there's going to be further talks with the athletes, which they've been doing. They've been trying to communicate with the athletes. Obviously, on our end, it feels like it's not enough information because you just want to know it all so you can plan for it. And obviously, they don't have all the answers. So there's a lot of complications with that. So we do side with them for that. However,
a lot of things out of everyone's control. That's for sure.
That's probably what I was going to say. It's
so frustrating.
I mean, it's frustrating, but we're pretty excited. I think it's been a long time coming. I mean, it's been the longest season to date with CrossFit, so.
I think about that, and it definitely has. But then, like, when we were doing weightlifting as well, we literally would go from our CrossFit season straight into our weightlifting season. And I remember there was, like, when I was going for the Olympics, I literally trained, like, for at least 2 years straight without, like, a solid off season, if you will.
Yeah, but we know what weightlifting's like. You get a bit of built-in rest in there every now and again. But it does fatigue. It does put a lot of stress on the knees and the joints.
For sure it does.
But I think, honestly, we look at it and we think, we like to look at the positive of what's happening here. We've got a season, it's pretty awesome. To date, Tia's been able to compete at all our sanctioned events and we haven't had to scrounge around and look for another sanctioned event like other people, or fortunately enough, Tia did well enough in the Open and through sanctioned events to qualify, where other athletes, I believe it's the top 20 plus the 10 sanctioned events that already happened, so therefore the top 30 will then go to the try out for the CrossFit stage 1, then the top 5 will go forward from there. So I feel for those guys that plan to have done, say,
like West Coast
Classic, which was a week from happening before Corona shut down. So that athletes, would qualify through that process, would have been at the games if it had been a 1 week longer stretch. So and for that matter too, we sympathise for the sanctioned events and all the people that are associated with those events. We know that the sponsors, fans, and even athletes and organisers have put a lot of time and effort into that, so.
It's crazy to think, because I remember, like, at the start of, like, when all this was happening back in March, I genuinely thought, like, I was like, oh, what's everyone complaining about, like, everyone's getting, like, somewhat of a forced holiday and they get to stay home and enjoy it. And then isolation kind of felt like what our lives were already like. We literally would be at home, go to the gym, train, and then come home again. But now, like, as it keeps progressing, you realize just how much it affects your life and everyone else's.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy thing. So, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I think that's something that for me, like, as frustrating as all this is with just all the uncertainties, I am just so happy that I still get to showcase all my hard work that I've been trying to do throughout the whole year, because I personally feel the fittest, the strongest I've ever been. And when I try and compare myself to previous years, I'm 100% fitter than 2019 Tia-Clair to me. And so that would be a huge upset if I couldn't showcase that and actually show the rest of the world what I'm capable of doing and everything that I've been dedicating my time for,
Yeah, so I think that's a good point. So, like, one thing, like, my objective as a coach as a coach is with Tia's progress is what I envision or what I try to imagine on what we're trying to achieve is to beat the 2019 version of Tia, right? So ultimately she won it, but regardless of the place, how I look at it is if Tia can be better than the person last year or that athlete then then great, we're on track. We've got great things ahead, and the path is bright. So ultimately, when I'm looking at benchmarks, I'm not looking at what everyone XYZ is doing. I'm looking, right, this is what Tia did in 2019. We're coming for her, and then we can chase that. For us, that's a realistic goal. As the sport evolves and there's more areas or more fields to dive into, great, that's just great for us to learn and to evolve and adapt and make a better athlete again. So, you know, from my perspective, these are the things that I'm trying to chase, and I keep consistent about, like putting steps in, right. Ultimately, the shift or the goalposts are moving, but as long as I'm allowing the athletes to be better than that version of 12 months ago, fantastic. So really, we've had the longest stretch to have beaten that athlete 12 months ago, last year's games. So we're going to be firing on all cylinders is the goal, and I'm very fortunate and very happy that these guys are healthy and fit and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think let's cap it up here. But I think there's some uncertainty as well, like with the weather. Weather could be a play in this stage 1. You know, if the running event is done in rain, hail, snow, or where we are in the world, could be a factor to consider. Ultimately, we've got a judge coming out as well, so that should even up or keep the playing field quite consistent. There is limitations with the variety of workouts or styles of workouts. You know, you can only confine to 4 walls, so to speak. So these things are in play. So I think a lot of our training, or a lot of the training you've seen a lot of athletes do, will probably share, has been more regional-less or age qualifier style workouts. I mean, they're great benchmarks to test anyway, so there's a lot of data there. But I'm just getting a nod. We're almost at our.
Another thing is
no, we got more. Let's talk more, Tia.
No, I was just thinking, like, you know, we normally train out at CrossFit Mayhem, and Matt and I, we are having to look for a different location, and we're most likely going to have to go down the road to the gym I did the Rogue Invitational at, which was Calf Killer Athletics, because on the same weekend as our online comp, there is a level 2 seminar or level 1 seminar being hosted at CrossFit Mayhem. So that's like, there's just so many things that can, you know, come in and interfere. And like a lot of people, I know a lot of athletes that are competing at another gym that runs daily classes, they're going to have to go in and do them around those classes as well. So it's actually quite a fascinating year it's turning out to be.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we've answered your questions. If you've got any more questions, I guess put them in the comments. We love shuffling through them. Again, appreciate your time. And
don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, you got.
And if you want to dislike it, just hit it twice.
You like that? We'll explain. Go on, do it. Team, anyway, thanks a lot for your time. Love you. Shane's out. Tia.
See you later, guys.
All the best.